Greet. I cannot stand that.
Okay.
If you walk into a place, the first thing you do is you must greet.
You greet everybody there, and
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
No, but you're saying that should be standard.
Yeah,
eh?
absolutely.
Okay. Right. We got quite a few of those. So give us a call on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Basic etiquette, basic manners you think, but things that you see people simply don't honor. Give us your pet peeves on that, please. So today's traffic, always a little busier, a little earlier on a Friday. That's what I assume. But is that the case today?
That is true. Thank you, John. Especially considering that it's also raining. I'm going to ask that you please drive carefully. You slow down and you keep your headlights on. If you are traveling on the M1 South, there's slow-moving traffic from the Killarney Bends to the Crown interchange. And over in Bedford View, there are still those roadworks on the N1 North as you approach the Geldenhuys interchange, and they are also slowing down traffic. In Boksburg, there's traffic pressure on Atlas Road. This is between Lakefield Road and Elizabeth Road. And in Kempton Park, you can expect delays on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and Mooirivier Drive. Let's look out for those faulty traffic lights in Woodmead at Woodmead and Woodlands, in Houghton at Houghton and Joe Slovo, and over in Tshwane there are also faulty traffic lights in Centurion at Old Johannesburg and Brakfontein. Pointsmen should be there in just a short while, so just please be a little bit patient. More updates coming up in just a bit.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
The fact that they announced someone's name and this man was confident enough to just go walk on stage, take pictures, post about it is so wild. Are you able to explain to us as an institution, how was this guy able to make it into the graduation center when he is not eligible to graduate?
What actually happened was he has not been a registered student since 2023.
What?
He's obviously been pretending to his family that he has been studying, and things have now come to a head because of his graduation series. So what he did, and what has become a growing trend with graduates, is that they sell their graduation tickets.
Lauren Kensley is the spokesperson for CPUT.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Celestial Bodies returns to the stage after last year's successful run. It's a collaboration between Universe on Stage and Joburg Ballet. Celestial Bodies is a fusion of narration, music, science and ballet. It's a unique performance that tells the story of our connection to the stars and to the universe. Universe on Stage is reshaping live entertainment, merging science, music and storytelling that connects audiences to the wonders of the cosmos. There are 3 performances of Celestial Bodies at the UJ Theatre this weekend, 2 on Saturday in the afternoon and the evening, and 1 on Sunday. For more details and to book tickets, go to Quicket and search for Celestial Bodies.
That's Liesel, before she got naked. Liesel checked her insurance premium and got angrier than the time a teenager called her Tani. So Liesel got naked and got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds, all on the Naked app. There we go, Liesel. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
In business, missed deliveries cost more than money. Go Girl Logistics is South Africa's 100% black female-owned Level 1 Triple BEE powerhouse, delivering secure, time-sensitive transport for parcels, cold chain cargo, and compliance waste. With DG trained drivers, cold chain certification, national reach, and real-time tracking, every load is handled professionally, safely, and on time. Go Girl Logistics. Power beyond cargo. Visit gogirl-logistics.com.
If you run a small business, you'll know growth doesn't happen by chance. It takes the right support. That's where MTN Business comes in.
I think there's quite a lot. It's quite an extensive laundry list. I think time is key. I mean, when you're a small business, you're multitasking, you're doing a lot of the work yourself. So that's one of the key areas. The second is admin.
Yes.
And then finally, it's working inside existing tools. So it's important to remember that it fits into tools that small businesses are typically using as they go about their day-to-day operation.
To find out more ways MTN Business can support your growth, join the next conversation. Wednesday on the Afternoon Drive, MTN Business. Let's talk shop on 702.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
My absolute pet peeve is people who overstay their welcome when they visit you. Growing up, I learned that you stay at someone's place for a maximum of 3 days and you leave. Even if you're a family member, unless you've given advance notice to stay, to ask them whether you can stay longer than 3 days. But 3 days should be the maximum period that you stay at someone's house. Leave people to have their space. Yes.
Papa John, hey, no, it looks like there's a K53 lesson that needs to be learned there. Ha, my sister, you are saying you stick in the fast lane. What happened to the rule that is on the freeway that says keep left, pass right? That means that you must keep on the left and only be on the fast lane when you are overtaking. So you see, the driver who was shouting at you, he was the one practicing common sense. You, my sister.
Yeah, and yeah, I think there'll be a couple of people who say that. That thing, by the way, of overstaying your welcome. I mean, the example given to us by Shamila was very much about when you're staying, overnight and for a couple of days. What about people who kind of overstay when they've come in the evening? I mean, how do you kind of indicate to them that it's a wrap? I do know people, by the way, who say, okay, people, I'm really tired. I'm going to bed. You're welcome to stay. I don't know what they're going to stay and do. I mean, they don't have keys, but that seems to be the kind of message. But yeah, it really is time for you to move on. Still to come on 702 Drive. I'm very, very interested to talk to Dr. Simon Howell, criminologist from the University of Cape Town, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, announcing that he letting people know that he's going to be spearheading this new task team or new structure that's going to look into dealing with organized crime. I'm struck, though, that the appointment was made by General Fani Masemola, and all of this is happening in the midst of the Madlanga Commission. We await the findings and any kind of clarity. I suppose I'm in two minds, because I guess it's unrealistic to think that, the police are not going to keep doing their work and keep making important changes. But it does seem to me I've got a question and a puzzlement there, that somebody who now himself is facing charges in court would be making an appointment of this significance. But, he hasn't been suspended, and maybe that's where the problem lies. I'm grappling with something. I haven't quite put my finger on it, but please do give me a call and let me know what you think of that. 702 Drive, it's 26 minutes past 3.
Afternoon, Tate John and the team. At the top of my list, it's people who use paraplegic parking bays when they shouldn't. And for me, that should be a basic etiquette, no matter what time of the day. That spot is marked for a reason.
We are asking you about things that ought to be obvious, that you assume are well known, that you regard as surely we have some kind of societal consensus around that, and yet people keep breaching those rules, if indeed are they rules or are they conventions? I guess they're a mix. Certainly in regard to driving down the middle of the road at below the speed limit, I would suggest is a rule and not just a convention. Keep those coming, please, on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702.
It's 6 a.m. in Kenya. Victor's little sister starts high school today, but her fees need to be paid first. Back in Jozi, Victor logs onto the Absa banking app and sends her money and a little extra for lunch. It arrives instantly.
Your money makes their world go round. Send cash to 18 countries across the world with Absa Global Pay. It's safe, instant, and affordable. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetore.com today. Sweetore, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Dreaming of your next getaway? Whether it's a sun-soaked beach escape, an adventure-packed tour, or a luxury cruise, Flight Centre is your center for travel. We make travel easy, affordable, and stress-free. Plus, you can enjoy exclusive traveler perks with our frequent Flighty Rewards program. Flight Centre's got you covered. Visit your nearest Flight Centre store or online at flightcentre.co.za. Flight Centre, your center for travel.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So as I mentioned, we're going to be chatting to Themba Bavuma in our weekly feature, A Song, a Book and a Dish. I was just trawling and looking at various things on the internet, and in this week, in 2003, one of sport's greatest ever names played his last ever game. Take a listen, then I've got a question for you.
Timeout, Utah. 5.2 seconds left. Michael Jordan running on fumes with 45 points.
At the end of the game, you got to get it out of his hand. He's a killer.
That may have been the last shot Michael Jordan will ever take in the NBA. If that's the last image of Michael Jordan, how magnificent is it?
So Michael Jordan was an absolute phenomenon against any measure in any sport, but certainly a dominant figure in the sport he played in basketball. Here's the question I have, though. At various times in my quite long life in journalism, and I've always had a connection to sport, even when I haven't been a sports journalist, people have predicted a huge boom in basketball in South Africa. Now, my impression is that there is a following and there's a cadre of players that are very, very dedicated. But I've never really had a sense of it taking off as a mass participation sport. So I guess I'm asking two things. The one is the sport bigger than I recognize? Is it, bubbling under? Are there courts in various communities where people are playing and really enjoying the game? And secondly, if it hasn't really taken off as a really, really popular participation sport in South Africa, tell me why you think that's the case. And of course, if you're involved with basketball, give me a call. I'd love to understand it a little bit better. I thought we'd just use the hook of Michael Jordan's last ever NBA game to throw this out and see what we get back. It's 3:30. Right, the very latest news now. Police searching for a man suspected of shooting and killing 3 people in Robbie Ridge. Details on that story and more with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon. That's correct. Police are on that search for a man suspected of shooting and killing 3 people. That's in Robbie Ridge near Tembisa. Officers responding to that scene also came under fire, leaving 2 other women wounded. Police say the suspected gunman allegedly argued with his girlfriend before shooting her and then killing 2 more people at a home in Kanana section. Gauteng Police spokesperson Dimakatso Nebuhulwi says an officer was injured by the shattered glass from the police vehicle that was shot at.
The 2 women and the officer are receiving medical treatment in hospital, while the first 3 victims were declared dead. The suspect, who is identified as a security officer, has since fled the scene. The police are appealing to anyone who can assist with information about the suspect's whereabouts to report at the local police station.
Let's stay with policing matters. The launch of the KwaZulu-Natal Police Forensic Lab in Mayville, Durban is expected to help reduce the province's DNA testing backlog. This is a critical step in resolving and finalizing criminal cases. The previous facility in Amanzimtoti had become prone to flooding and was also only partially operational. Speaking at today's launch, KZN Premier Tamin Tuli says the facility will improve both the speed and accuracy of forensic analysis.
For the people of KwaZulu-Natal, especially the victims of crime, this is a moment of renewal. It affirms that their pain has not gone unseen, that their calls for justice have not gone unheard. For far too long, delays in forensic processing has weakened cases and eroded confidence. Today we say no more.
And stormy weather conditions are expected to sweep through the Western Cape this weekend as two cold fronts move across the province. The first front has already made landfall in Cape Town, bringing with it cold and rainy conditions, with the second expected to follow through until Monday morning. Residents are being urged to use this weekend's stormy weather to prepare their homes for winter. Carlo Peterson has more.
South African Weather Service meteorologist Christopher Nkosi says the cold weather systems will affect parts of the Western Cape and Namakwa district in the Northern Cape, with snow expected over the Hex River Mountains.
The approaching cold fronts will result in rainfall and showers accompanied by strong to gale force winds and very rough seas along the south and southwest coasts.
City Maco member for Safety and Security JP Smith says early preparation can reduce pressure on emergency services.
These intense rain showers and strong wind help residents identify any potential leaks on their properties, loose roof tiles or sheets, and any other weather-related risks that could pose a challenge once winter truly sets in.
A yellow level 2 warning has also been issued for wind and wave damage from late Saturday through to Monday. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN, police are searching for a man suspected of shooting and killing 3 people in Rabbi Reach near Tembisa. Officers responding to that scene also came under fire.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
Some returns are worth the wait. Your favorite band, that binge-worthy series. And now, the return of Motor Select's Demo Deal Dash. From this Thursday, 16 April to Saturday, 18 April, get up to 100,000 Rand trade-in assist on any demo model. Hurry to motorselect.co.za or any participating Motor Select dealership nationwide. 3 days, one big return. T's and C's apply.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Afternoon, John. My beef is people speaking loud in malls or centers while you're shopping to attract attention to themselves. It might be a family of a mother, father, and 2 children speaking extra loud just to draw attention to themselves. That's so unbecoming.
Afternoon, Bro John. How about the guys who pull to the side of the road and do their business in full view of everybody? And in more than half the time, they would have either driven past a filling station or there's another one coming up a few meters down the road. But they just do their business without even stepping out into somewhere a bit more discreet to do what they want to do. So embarrassing.
Hi, John. My favorite peeve at the moment, and it's been for some time, is people who drive when the conditions are not that good with their lights off. And normally it's a dark car. So it's not that they can see better, but so that you can see them better and not have an accident. Oh my God, what do we live with?
Yeah, lots of frustrations out there. Things that ought to be obvious that some people simply don't do, to the huge irritation and sometimes even deeper worry of people who are observing this. Give us your thoughts, your pet peeves. Let us know on 072 702 1702. It's 22 minutes to 4. It's sports time.
EWN Sport.
Game 2 between Banyana and Algeria, building up to, of course, AFCON later this year. How's the game going, Tolakele?
Well, John, we're 40 minutes into that encounter at the Kings Wellington Stadium, but there's still no goal so far. For Mamelodi Sundowns, they're preparing for tomorrow's second leg CAF Champions League semi-final against Esperance. They lead the tie 1-0 and will host the Tunisians at a sold-out Loftus Versfeld Stadium. There'll be a shuffle to their defense with Grant Kekana suspended, and Keanu Cupido has discussed the options that can fill the gap.
It's a big blow, we know Grant. He has the experience for years now. He helped us a lot. And also, we'll miss him. And then we have Ndamani, very young, very good player. Keegan is also there as well. So we feel like we know that they can fill the shoes of Grant. But also leading into that, I think they'll need my help because they're not that experienced at that stage in the tournament.
Arne Slot believes Hugo Ekitike can come back even stronger from a ruptured Achilles tendon that ended his season and dreams of playing at the FIFA World Cup. In his absence, Liverpool will be looking to secure UEFA Champions League qualification for next season. The Reds are currently 5th in the Premier League, which will be enough to qualify and enjoy a 4-point lead over 6th place Chelsea. But they face an Everton side who are looking to win a first Merseyside derby at their Hill-Dixon Stadium on Sunday.
We didn't want to lose against City away. We didn't want to lose against Paris Saint-Germain. But and I think that is always the aim. If you go into games, you never want to slip up. So you want to perform in the best possible way possible. Best possible way possible. It's a lot of possible.
The Proteas women are back in T20 action as they take on India in the first of 5 from 6 p.m. tonight. Laura Valpart admits that South Africa might not have majority of the support when the teams clash at the Kingsmead Stadium.
We did speak about it, that it could possibly be a bit more of an away crowd than a home crowd. It's awesome to just have people at the game. I think it'll be a very cool mix of South African supporters and Indian fans. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll create more of a buzz and more of a vibe than maybe what we're used to at home games. Last time we played against them, we had 60-odd thousand Indian fans in the stands, so couldn't get worse than that, I guess. But yeah, very excited to hopefully have more people at the game.
And the Springbok Sevens will have to win their final Pool A match against Argentina on Saturday to proceed into the playoffs of the HSBC Sevens Championship in Hong Kong. South Africa lost 31-12 to Spain in their second game, having started their campaign with a 12-7 win over Uruguay. Victory over Argentina tomorrow morning will secure a quarter-final spot, while defeat will see the Blitzboks title aspirations extinguished. Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's get the very latest from out on the roads. All those normal jammed up points starting to get quite busy, yeah? Khumotso, where's the troubles most noticeable so far?
Indeed, thank you, John. We'll start in Pretoria CBD. Traffic is at a crawl at Hermanstad. This is on Eskempatlele Drive between Mood Street and Vormhagen. If you are leaving Sandton, traffic is starting to pick up on the N1 North. This is from Allendale Road, and it's also getting a bit busy on the N1 South if you're heading towards Winnie Mandela Drive. If you're traveling on the M1 South, there's slow-moving traffic from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange, and over in Edenvale, traffic remains sluggish on the R24 West heading towards Giluli's Interchange. Look out for 40 traffic lights on Hyde Park at Winnie Mandela and Jan Smarts, in Randburg at Malibongwe and CR Swart, and in Lyndhurst at the R25 and Old Johannesburg Road. Pointsmen are on duty there, so no need to worry much. More updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 18 minutes to 4. Tolakele, things that ought to be obvious that people really ought to know they shouldn't do, but many people simply do things as they please. We've had people who get in a lift before people who've got out. We've got people who don't know which lane to drive in, and there's a national debate around that when it comes to highways. People who talk loud in malls as a way of drawing attention to themselves and putting on some kind of performance. What's on your list?
We don't play TikToks in public.
Oh, yes.
When you don't have headphones.
Yes. Please, guys, let's all invest in headphones. When we're walking in one direction, you cannot just stop because there are people walking behind you and it creates a traffic jam. And also, when we change lanes when we're driving, the rest of us are not psychic. You must indicate so we can know what you want to do.
Okay,
I have a lot more, John.
So we've got people who don't change lanes at all, people who don't tell you which lanes they're changing. Tell me about this walking in the same direction. What do you mean?
John, whether you're walking up or down, whatever direction,
Yes.
you can't just stop because you've decided, no, I'm tired of walking. There's someone who's walking behind you who just needs to get where they're going. If you're randomly stopping to pick up the phone, to look at your jeans, it impacts everybody around you. Go to the side. So
you must pull off.
Exactly, John.
Okay.
So the rest of us can walk.
So this is
normally.
all about lanes, like we need pull-off lanes and more. You know, I also get irritated when people just stop it. I'm trying to be a better person, and
do it for me as well, John.
It's not going that well, I must say. But anyway, because I'm sure I do it. Like you're walking along, and let's say you pass Dis-Chem for the sake of argument, you think, I'm supposed to get something at Dis-Chem. What is it? No, I have toothpaste. You know, especially on weekends, I cut people a lot of slack.
I'll give you weekends, but in general, when it's like work mode,
pull over,
please.
Maybe there's like a business idea where you can have little keppies or vol keppies for winter that have indicators. And you can press a button for 2, which is like a hazard. I'm stopping. And then you can signal left or right.
John, they barely do that on the roads. Do you really think they'll do that in the malls?
Yes. I have so many good business ideas that are really not very good business ideas at all. Keep those coming, please, on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 3:45.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Okay, coming up a little bit later on the show, we are going to be doing talking to yet another of the finalists in our 702 Small Business Awards. Very interesting group of people. And I just want to remind you, by the way, even though we're going to be announcing winners next Thursday, there is still time for you to get in. Get in the door before the gate closes. If you've got a great small business, please go to primemediaplus.com. Even if you're not sure about entering, just check out what's involved. And similarly, if a friend, a family member, somebody you know, a neighbor perhaps, is doing something fabulous in the small business, soon-to-be big business space, go there as well and nominate them. Let's celebrate as many of our entrepreneurs as we possibly can. It's coming up for 14 to 4.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Let's talk about a very, very, very big business. And we're talking about Tongaat Hewlett, which has just been in the food space, has been an absolute anchor on the South African business landscape for many years. But it's been in trouble for a long time. There was supposed to be liquidation proceedings today, this week, as I understand it. The Industrial Development Corporation, which has already put up 2.3 billion rand to try and mitigate what's going on at Tongaat Hewlett and the consequences of a liquidation, has stepped up, we hear today, with another 200 million rand to delay this liquidation even further. But did it have to happen this way? Clearly, there are problems with the company, and the implications of those problems are massive. Around 15,000, somewhere between 15 and 20,000, as I understand it, small-scale growers who are partnered with Hewlett's. All the people they employ, all the people who are their dependents. There are people who work up and downstream of a giant food business like Tongaat Hewlett. There is a huge amount at stake. But there is a view that is very much the view held by my next guest, that this could have been avoided, that the business rescue process was run in a way that made this an almost inevitable outcome, but it didn't have to turn out like that. Let's welcome then from Amabungani, the investigative journalism team, Sam Soul, who's been looking into this. Sam, a very good afternoon to you, and thanks for your time. You talk about Tongaat Hewlett in the piece you've posted on a number of sites. You talk about Tongaat Hulett being basically maneuvered to the edge of the cliff, but there have been better options available. Tell us why you say that. What could have been done instead? Good afternoon to you.
Hi, John. Yes, look, I think that's a slight simplification.
Okay.
I think the company got into problems because of alleged fraud by its management, and certainly, improper accounting for and inflated accounting in terms of its financial standing.
Right.
That was a given. There was a turnaround proposal, a restructuring proposal put to the banks way back. They rejected, the banks who held a lot of debt that the company held. They rejected that and essentially forced the company into business rescue. Now, that was more than 3.5 years ago, and business rescue is not supposed to be such a drawn-out process.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the interest in looking at this case is to look at the drawbacks in the design of our business rescue process, and the fact that it has very little oversight, and so we have this in a lot of instances where things are drawn out. We've had the post office, etc., and there is not much judicial oversight over the process, and in my view, that's allowed some rather dubious decisions to be made in the course of this this business rescue, which is essentially put one party, the Vision Consortium, in the driving seat, and given it essentially a veto, without, in my view, again, the company coming to the table with the resources that essentially it promised to do,
right,
at the time of the adoption of the business rescue plan, which was back in January 2024, and now we've got to the stage where Tongaat Hulett is too big to fail, and there is a gun to the head of the Industrial Development Corporation, to essentially pay for Vision to take over the company, rather than Vision coming up with the money needed to complete the process.
So, I mean, this is a matter of national interest, I would suggest, for a range of reasons. The Industrial Development Corporation is working to a very high degree with public money. So there's that element, 2.5 billion rand now already invested in trying to bring this to a resolution. There's a huge number of jobs involved, as I understand it, into the hundreds of thousands. And then there are all these thousands of small growers and I'm seeing a number here from Business Live, Kabelo Kamalo. The number is not, as I put it, 15,000, but closer to 18,000. It's a dilemma, though, because when you look at things like South African Airways, for example, there was a point at which people said, let this thing unfold. The public sector should not in any way, shape or form get involved. How do you see it? I mean, is this something where either through the IDC or the minister, for example, Minister Parks Tau, actually should be getting involved and in fact having significant influence?
I agree, and I think yesterday when there was the hearing and the matter was postponed, was a missed opportunity for the judge to get involved as well.
Right.
Because these kind of negotiations are really around leverage, and it's about having and getting the leverage to get an outcome that is actually in the best interests of the company and the country, and that really and especially the IDC. So I think it's correct that the IDC is involved. I think that they yesterday gave up some leverage because they essentially ruled out the idea or the practical possibility
Yes.
of the consideration of any other bid for this company. We've got this strange situation where we now have a sort of zombie business rescue where it's common cause that the vision plan failed, and in my view that means it should be dead, but somehow it failed, and we all agree that it failed, but it is still alive and it is still binding, and that's the problem because in terms of its most recent proposal, I think, Vision wants essentially the IDC to pay for everything and is willing to give the IDC 40% of only the South African operation in exchange for that.
Yeah.
And that to me is not a deal that the minister or the IDC should take.
So part of the context of all of this, Sam, is that this is an industry under huge pressure in terms of imports. There are obviously the pressures on the South African side. There are the small growers, there are the jobs that need protection if possible. But if the IDC were to get 40% of something, which from what you're saying, they seem to be funding anyway, so I'm not sure why they'd only get 40, but maybe you can clarify that for us. But is this a robust business whose future performance would justify the investment of public money?
Look, I think it depends how much and on what terms. I think in these cases, this is maybe a case where the government should actually consider the Expropriation Act and expropriate the claims and security that were held by the banks and are currently held by Vision. That doesn't mean they should not be compensated for that. But if this company is so important both to the economy of KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga and probably the political stability of the province, then the government is not powerless.
Yes.
But I'm afraid it's being pushed around. And to go back to your question about the 40%, the sums do not add up. The Vision Consortium have put in of their own money about 1.6 billion. They another which was actually lent to them by Standard Bank and guaranteed by the IDC.
Right.
And they have claims and security as a result of that of I think close to 12 billion. Now, for them to then say, and that is not only for the South African operations, but it's for Zimbabwe, Mozambique. I think there's a small operation also perhaps in Botswana, and they're proposing that the IDC put in 5 billion essentially,
yes,
and for that get 40% of the South African operation only. Which is only part of what the Vision is seeking to control.
Thanks so much. We'll have to leave it there with Sam Sol, managing partner at Amabungani, but we thank him for that. It's a really detailed analysis that he's done, and you may think, well, why are we spending so much time talking about one particular company, in this case, Tongaat Hewlett? Well, the implications for the South African economy really are substantial. There are those 18,000 small growers. There are also the people who work up and downstream of the core operations of Tongaat Hewlett. And then there are the jobs that are held at the same company. If you're in the sugar business, by the way, in any way, maybe you've got family members who are amongst those small cane growers, please do give us a call and share with us your insights and your take. Just a heads up on something that has just emerged into the news, and it's something that we're going to try and follow. Iran has declared the Strait of Hormuz completely open. US President Donald Trump And by the way, the Iranians are saying this will be for the remaining period of the ceasefire. U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. blockade on Iran will remain in full force. The message is slightly mixed. The response on the markets, though, is not mixed at all. It's pretty unambiguous. The all shares shot up and is now up by 2,000 points. You may remember earlier in the show, I said it was up by 360. The price of Brent crude has fallen by nearly 9%, almost $9. So things are moving. We're going to find out a little bit more about that. Is this going to be a little flash in the pan, or is this the beginning of an end to a particular aspect of this crisis? 702 Drive.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m., we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour, from news to global events, business, sports, science, books, and always some good news too. Appointment listening every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
2 cups of coffee. Nope, maybe 3. Okay, it was 4 cups today. It's just too good. Unlimited coffee top-ups. For you, for me, every day. WeWork.co.za. Made for work, built for business.
Moving to a bigger office space can be expensive. Thanks to My Way Business Insurance, I get to save up to 20% on my insurance premiums every month. Plus, I get My Business Assist, which helps me with marketing, legal, and admin services. Saving money while growing my business is a great win for me.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your monthly premiums. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646 6464 today for a quote. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply. This is EWN.
The court hears that Mugabe's shooting victim was compensated, and Gareth Mnisi denies manipulating Tshwane tenders. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Alexandra Magistrates Court has heard that the victim of a shooting incident involving Bellarmine Mugabe and Tobias Matonodze was compensated. Sipho Malaba was shot in February at a residence in Hyde Park belonging to the Mugabes. The 2 accused have now pleaded guilty to varying charges after weeks of plea negotiations. In a move to mitigate the sentences, defense lawyer advocate Lawrence Hodes told the court that the victim was paid with the knowledge of the investigating officer.
There was an approach to the victim who was compensated as deposed to a statement to that effect that my learned friend is aware of. There's no issue there that he would be satisfied with a non-custodial sentence. Reparations were made. Should this court order further reparations, both of the accused would be in a position to honour such an order. There's no problem, Your Worship.
But the state could not deny nor confirm the allegation. Magistrate Raina Boshoff therefore postponed the matter to next week for this to be addressed, as well as to find the whereabouts of the gun used in the incident. Tshwane's suspended Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi has denied using his position to manipulate tenders at the Metro. In addition to being the CFO, Mnisi is also chairperson of the city's Bid Adjudication Committee. The committee plays a critical role in deciding which companies are awarded municipal tenders, One of the allegations against Mnisi was that he used his position to steer tenders towards his preferred bidders. Testifying before the Madlanga Commission today, Mnisi says the committee is made up of 7 senior managers and makes decisions as a collective.
Influencing a process and directing proceedings in compliance with the relevant laws and regulations, from my perspective, is 2 completely different issues. So if we were to analyze and scrutinize documentations in front of me, applying the rules, laws and regulations and prescripts of the law, it's not a process of influencing, it's a process of validating, providing assurance and ascertaining that all key compliance mechanisms have been followed.
The Nkabinde inquiry has rejected reasons given by former NPA boss Shamila Batoyi on why she needs legal advice while under cross-examination. Batoyi was being questioned by advocates representing Andrew Chauke in a hearing that is investigating his fitness to head up the Johannesburg Prosecution's Office. The panel ruled that Batoyi was not entitled to the same procedural safeguards as an accused person and therefore could not claim an automatic right to legal consultation during cross-examination. Mongezi Koko reports.
In a unanimous ruling, Chairperson Justice Bess Nkabinde found that the line of questioning did not amount to unfair administrative action and that her right to procedural fairness had not been violated. The inquiry also pointed out that Batoyi had failed to demonstrate any basis for interrupting the cross-examination to seek legal advice. Reading the ruling, Nkabinde highlighted some of the faults identified.
She's not entitled to any such safeguards under Section 35 of the Constitution. This is so because the applicant is not an accused person. Accordingly, the application is dismissed. This is a unanimous ruling.
The matter forms part of a broader inquiry into Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office as Johannesburg's prosecution's chief. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
And in news making international headlines, U.S. President Donald Trump has welcomed Iran's move to open the Strait of Hormuz for the remainder of the ceasefire by taking to his Truth social media platform, Trump says the naval blockade will stay in place until its negotiations with Iran are 100% complete. While negotiations between the two countries broke down last weekend in Islamabad, the countries are expected to resume talks ahead of the ceasefire, which expires on the 22nd. The strait is a critical shipping route through which roughly 20% of the world's oil and natural liquefied gas is transported. Gold is trading at $4,865.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.23 to the dollar, 22.01 to the pound, 19.19 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $97.69 a barrel.
In the traffic in Pretoria CBD, there's still that slow-moving traffic at Hermanstad on Eskempahlele Drive between Mood Street and Vormhagen. And if you're leaving Sandton, there's also slow-moving traffic on the N1 North from Allendale Road.
In your sport, 50 up for Karabo Dlamini as Banyana take on Algeria in an international friendly. Enzo Fernandez back for Chelsea as they take on Manchester United in a must-win Premier League clash. And room for improvement as the Proteas women take on India in a 5-match T20 series.
A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 14 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 15 and 21 and Vereeniging 15 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Alexandra Magistrates Court has heard that the victim of a shooting incident involving Bellarmine Mugabe and Tobias Matonodze was compensated.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 4. Good to have you with us on the show. We've got interesting stuff coming up over the next 2 hours, and we'll try and bring you any kind of breaking news that we hear about. If you have only just joined us, Iran has announced that for the duration of its ceasefire with the United States, the Strait of Hormuz will be fully open. In response, US President Donald Trump said that its blockade of Iranian ports will continue. It's not entirely clear what the balance between those two different versions of the current state of affairs actually is, but markets are seeing this as a hugely positive sign. The all shares moved up by almost 2%, 1.9, let me be more precise, 2,240 points to the good. Moving in the other direction with nobody mourning its departure, the high price of Brent crude, still high, it should be said, but at $88.91. Way better than where we've been before. The drop in the price about $8.61. Muthe Khwaripe will be joining us at about 25 minutes past 4. He'll have an update on that, and we'll try and find out more about the politics, as I say, of two somewhat not entirely contradictory, but slightly different versions from Iran on the one side and the United States on the other. So that's the stuff we can bring you, but don't forget there's always information that you can share with us. If there's something happening in your community, something you notice on your way to or from work, or just something that you've heard about that we ought to know about, please get in touch on 072 702 1702. It's 9 minutes past 4.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Afternoon, John. Now, these people that I hate so much to do what those people that you are driving a fast lane on 120. You come driving 130, 140, you push me, you flashing me. I don't move. Baba. You flash me, I go to 110. You continue flashing, I go to 100. You continue flashing, I'm going to 80 until you change the line. The time when you are changing the line, I press. Don't come with these VW drivers come and push us on first line on 120, driving 130, 140. There's no 140 in South Africa. There's no 140 on 130. It's only 120. Baba.
Hi, John and the 702 land. This is Rachel. People who irritate me are people who litter. When you're eating when you're eating chips and you finish, why not keep your packet of chips and throw it in a bin somewhere? Those people. And of course, these people who walk smoking, like everybody must inhale the smoke. Hi.
Yeah, we asked you about things that you ought to obviously know that you're not supposed to do, but people do them. Nonetheless, please send us those on 072 702 1702. I remember engaging, and I can't remember the context, but with someone who was a traffic authority of some kind, or in the traffic authorities, shall I say. And I asked them about that. If you're doing 120 and you're in the fast lane, surely you shouldn't move over because, the speed limit is 120. And they said, absolutely get out of the way. You are not a traffic cop. Don't exacerbate things in any way or get those people to then hurtle into the lane to the left of you or whatever. It's not your job. Leave that to us. So anyway, I don't know what the law says. I don't know what best practice is, but if you've got some thoughts, give us a call. Coming up on the 702 Drive shortly, we're going to be talking to business expert. He's an expert on many things, Kai Sitole, and an auditor himself. But the news out today is that Sipho Malaba, who was the KPMG auditor who did the books at VBS Bank, has been fined 11 million rand, and he's been banned from the practice for life. Now, this sounds like a very, very stringent sanction. I think it's fair to say that it is. Mr. Malaba also is having his time in the courts. But I'm just wondering, does this act as any kind of real deterrent for people who might do what he stands accused of doing? Kai Sitole's view on that coming up in 3 or 4 minutes' time.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's get out onto the roads one more time with Khumotso Munyai. Good afternoon.
Thank you, John. If you are leaving Sandton, traffic is dragging a bit on the N1 North. This is from Allendale Road and staying with the N1, but in the opposite direction. Traffic is also moving slow. This is if you are heading towards Winnie Mandela Drive. If you're going to Bedford View, you can expect about a 20-minute delay. This is coming from the Butlu interchange. And on the M1, there's slow-moving traffic from the Killarney Bends to the Crown interchange. Over to the N1 North, it's a bit sluggish on Velterfrieden Park right now, with delays from Constantia Kloof through to Beyers-Nodia Drive. Please look out for those faulty traffic lights in Woodmead, at Woodmead and Woodlands, in Randburg at Malibongwe and Jim Foshier, in Hyde Park at Winnie Mandela and Jan Smarts, and in the capital city, traffic lights are also out in Centurion at John Foster Drive and the N1, in Monument Park at the R21 and Solomon Mahlangu Drive. We did get a voice note from a 702 lander also reporting traffic somewhere around Harties, Magaliesberg.
Hi guys, there's an accident on the R511 heading towards Hartbeespoort just before Darktown. 2 lanes are blocked. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. You too can be like the 702 lander and send us a voice note on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
My show is about getting you informed by the time you get to the office, your place of business, or wherever you need to go. Hopefully, you have a fairly good idea what's happening in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, and around the world. We want you to be part of those water cooler conversations, and you will be part of those conversations because you'll be a better informed citizen. What I like about the 702 family and 702 land is the ecosystem that we have built, the community. It's all about connection because we may be different, but ultimately the people you talk to and the people you hear are facing issues just like you.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m.
So there are many wonderful things about going on a cruise, but one of the best of those is you got to sleep in one place and you can wake up in another. Imagine waking up to a new European destination every day, the gentle sea breeze in your hair and the freedom to explore the world at your own pace. The best way to see the world is by sea with NCL. Now, there are 22 different NCL ships. They sail to over 400 dream destinations, and it is the perfect way to explore Europe in style. You can enjoy award-winning experiences on board. There are spa moments if you want to indulge. There's world-class dining across more than 20 restaurants, and there are even racetracks at sea. It's this level of experience that has seen NCL named Europe's leading cruise line for 18 consecutive years at the World Travel Awards. So book your European getaway now with 50% off all NCL cruises. Visit ncl.com or contact your nearest travel agent. T's and C's apply.
No one gets fit overnight. It takes discipline, and your money is no different. A Nedbank 32-day notice account helps you build financial strength with up to 7.3% interest and 0 maintenance fees. The higher the deposit, the higher the return. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. For more information, go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, we're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Are you a legal practitioner looking to do your mediation course? Come and train in mediation with the Law Society of South Africa, the preferred leader in legal education with over 35 years of experience. We also offer advanced training, specialized skills development, and continuous legal education to ensure legal practitioners excel with competence and integrity. Stay ahead in your profession. Explore more courses at lssa.org.za. The Law Society of South Africa, leaders in legal education.
2026 is going to be a year of firsts when the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon happens for the first time in May.
Love it.
And continues to push to becoming Africa's first major. So, join Cape Town and the rest of the world when we rise again to run for gold and make history.
That's what makes this one so special.
By turning Africa's biggest marathon into Africa's first major. Putting Cape Town on the marathon stage with some of the greatest cities in the world, like London, Paris, Tokyo, Berlin.
It doesn't get better than this.
The Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, 24 May 2026.
Get ready.
The 2026 Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, proudly supported by 702. Go to capetownmarathon.com for more.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 past 4. Now, one of the common threads and themes in the conversations we have on 702 Drive is the question of consequence. We regularly report on all sorts of scandals, corruption, financial and other kinds of abuse that cost South Africans dearly in all kinds of ways. One such scandal, of course, was the collapse of VBS Bank and all the fraud that was exposed as a consequence of that collapse. And today, news of an outcome, outcome of some consequence, I think it's fair to say, for somebody involved in the VBS Mutual Bank scandal. The former lead auditor, Sipho Malaba, who at the time was a senior auditor at the major firm KPMG, has been fined substantially by the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors. The fine that is leveled against him is 11 million rand, and he's also been barred from practicing auditing ever again. It sounds severe, but is it? And do the sanctions actually hit the mark? Kaya Sitole, independent analyst who studies these kinds of things in great detail, joins us on 702 Drive. Mr. Sitole, welcome and thanks very much for giving your time. Just a very basic question. Does the IRBA have any capacity to collect its fines?
Good afternoon to listeners. So that's a difficult one.
Okay, that line is not great. Kai Sitole, we'll get him back on a much, much better line if we possibly can. Let's sort that out. Meanwhile, let's hear from you.
Hi there. One thing I think should be obvious is when you are walking in a mall, stick to the left-hand side. Can't have everybody walking in every direction. Some people are going on the left-hand side, some people on the right-hand side. People are coming towards you. Just stick to the left. Stay in your lane.
Hi, Papa John. Just a little bit of etiquette for the young gentlemen out there. When you are with your lady and you walking up the stairs or escalators, the gentleman should be a step or two below. In case she falls, he's there to catch her. And similar to when you're going down the stairs or up the stairs.
Okay. I mean, yes, everyone keep left in a mall, but what if the store you're looking for, someone says, no, you just go there, you go past, clicks, turn right at Chegas, and then it'll be on your right-hand side. I mean, you know, are we being too strict here? I can see it makes people crazy. Maybe we should all chill, though. Maybe if we all walk a little bit slowly and less of a rush. I'm a fine one to talk because I'm always rushing. But anyway, 20 past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Okay, we have Kaya Sitole back. And Kaya, welcome back. I asked you the question, does the IRBA have, firstly, any legal capacity, but second, any actual capacity to get this money that they've fined from Sipho Malaba? Okay, the line. Kaya Sitole. Let's try one more time. Very good afternoon to you, Kaya. Are you with us? Okay. Yeah, the lines are not helping us at all at the moment. We'll try one. No, we're going to come back and see if we can reset that. 702 Drive. Hopefully, we'll get to talk about this Sipho Malaba decision with Kaya Sitole shortly.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
In terms of your songwriting, what would you say, let's use the latest EP, Last Call for Departure, like what are you sharing about yourself? What is the journey you're taking listeners through?
So when I write songs, I like to try and tell my story and how I see the world from my own perspective. And I also try to just show that like everybody goes through the same things. So obviously only has their own feelings and all of that. And they have their own reactions to things. But I like to show how I feel.
Singer, songwriter and producer Matt Gardner.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Coming up at 10 to 5, we're meeting one of the finalists in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. Let's talk about a small business doing big things.
Stand a chance to win a share of a red-hot 3 million rand with the Hollywood Bet Spinner Zonke jackpot race. Enter the chase and enjoy a feast of fun where every spin could unlock riveting rewards. To start your adventure, bet 2 rand or more on selected habanero games every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. The racing revolution starts now. Dive in and prepare to take top spot.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
That's Sia before he got naked. Sia had a bumper bash and had to reattach his fender using duct tape and a prayer. So Sia got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance in seconds and can now submit claims instantly on the Naked app. No more arts and crafts for you, Sia. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, wish us luck with the Lions. Kaya Satole, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yo,
Hopefully this
yes.
is better than Urba's efforts. Yeah.
If you were in the studio, I would have rushed across and hugged you. But of course, if you were in the studio, we wouldn't have line problems. Let's go back to the question. IRBA, does it have teeth sufficient to collect fines?
The difficulty here, John, is that we ended up with essentially an uncontested case in the sense that Mr. Malaba did not show up to plead his defense. He did not participate in the process. And you simply ended up with Urba saying that based on the evidence that they've collected, these are the charges they would prefer. And then obviously the disciplinary committee reaching a conclusion that, well, in the absence of any explanation or any mitigation, then he is indeed found guilty. Now, the reason that matters is that it may well turn out that the process they're then trying to collect from someone who did not participate in the process is quite difficult. Urba is going to have to figure out whether there is still anything that can be recovered. We are assuming that he still has some assets in his name, so they'd have to go through a process of trying to attach those, and whether they'll be able to get everything that is due to them is even more difficult to know. So in principle, they do have the right to collect. Whether practically they'll collect anything, we absolutely do not know.
What is the importance of this process? I mean, do auditors and people who are members of the IRBA fear its disciplinary processes and worry about its outcomes? Or is this something that people say, yeah, well, whatever?
Well, for a very long time, unfortunately, they didn't. And the simple reality was that the law, as it was written, really created a fines regime that was quite lax in the sense that the maximum was an amount that a lot of people could simply say that, look, if I have to pay this in order to just get Urba off my back, I will do so. So it was only in recent years where Urba then went back to the lawmakers and said, look, we do not think that the penalties that we have or the maximum penalties that we're able to charge are a sufficient deterrent to the type of behavior that we're trying to manage. So only in recent years have they been able to increase that particular ceiling. And of course, nobody wants to lose money. So in instances where one is looking at what the fines regime is, it may indeed encourage them to behave better. But of course, ultimately, there will always be the exceptions of people who do egregious things, regardless of what the sanctions and the penalty regime is.
So sometimes when there is a professional body hearing of this kind, or in the public sector disciplinary process, people say, well, this should actually be in the criminal courts. My understanding is with Mr. Malaba, both has happened.
Yes, so what tends to happen with these bodies is that they can only apply their own code, and very few of them have the powers to enter into the criminal dimension. So what would happen is that Urba would say that based on the code that you subscribe to, on the basis that you are a member of our profession, then this is what we can do. These are the sanctions that we can apply. That does not prevent the criminal process from starting, and obviously in this instance, all of those that were implicated in VBS, at least most of them, are indeed in front of a criminal process. It's taken forever. So far, we only have one person who's behind bars, and that's
Yes.
Philip Trutter, on the basis that he reached a plea agreement. And there's actually two. Two have reached plea agreements, and the rest are still biding their time, hoping that they can be able to argue their way out of being held behind bars. So it is an ongoing process, and Mr. Malaba is one of those that is part of that ongoing criminal process.
Excuse me. Thank you so much, Kaya Sitole, with his thoughts on that. In general, if you're a professional and you have a professional body that you belong to, and they in turn have powers of investigation and inquiry and sanction, I mean, do you feel any kind of trepidation when they get in touch and say, hey, listen, we need to talk to you? I'd be interested to know, because we have equivalents in the teaching profession. I think we certainly have them in the medical field. Do they stir any kind of fear in the people who actually belong to them? Your thoughts, please, on 072 7021 702, 28 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Well, some real movement in the markets, Muteo Khwaripe. I was letting people know Iran say we're fully opening the Strait of Hormuz. The United States is offering perhaps a slightly more qualified version of a good thing. Markets seem to like it.
Yeah, a bit of a rebound in Europe and back here at home. Our oil prices are easing after Iran signaled that the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important oil routes, is now open to commercial traffic during the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. Oil slipped towards $90 per barrel, reversing gains from previous sessions. Officials warn that a full agreement could still take half the year to tie down, and the current truce may need to be extended. The conflict, now nearing 50 days, has caused major supply disruptions and elevated oil prices all around the world. At the same time, a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon is helping to reduce tensions in the region. Now in Europe, stocks there were largely flat this afternoon, with the Stoxx 600 poised for modest gains, while investors are balancing cautious optimism over Middle East developments with cautiousness following earnings misses for companies like Ericsson. In Germany, the DAX was up just over 0.5%, while in France, the CAC also saw light gains this afternoon. A big rebound, though, for the JSE ahead of market close, about 30 minutes out, up 2% at 2,341 points. Industrials are stronger by 1.8%. Banking stocks up 2%, with resources shares, mining shares up close to 3%. The Rand at this hour, 16 Rand 22 against the US dollar. It's up more than 1% at 19 Rand 16 cents against the euro, and at 22 Rand 1 cent to get a British pound. Price of gold is up close to 2% at $4,870 an ounce, while platinum is up more than 2% at $2,141. Brent crude now below the $90 mark at $88 a barrel. More business in about an hour.
4:30 is the time now on 702 Drive. Hope you're wrapping up the week in a way that leaves you feeling good about the way the week has gone. Of course, you may be in traffic, and we'll update you on what's happening on the roads a little bit later. But first of all, the very latest Eyewitness News with Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. A Lavender Hill mother who killed her drug-addicted son says she is running for mayor of Cape Town because people have lost their way. Ellen Pakis, who was convicted but acquitted from serving prison time for killing her drug-addicted son in 2007, is entering local politics as a mayoral candidate for the National Coloured Congress in Cape Town. Speaking earlier today, Pakis said her lived experience has motivated her to focus on what she describes as the forgotten communities of the Cape Flats.
For too long, our communities have been treated like an afterthought. This is about putting those communities first in the morning, real accountability, not just talk.
Pakis says her key priorities will be shutting down drug dens, expanding rehabilitation services, and strengthening social development programs.
I want to just make a change. The change, because it's not about the money, but it's about our communities. And I mean, our communities were failed, that mothers are still going through the same struggle.
The Social Security Agency in Gauteng says it is alarmed by allegations of unauthorized deductions from social grants. The agency says some beneficiaries may have been tricked into signing documents linked to insurance or funeral policies without full knowledge or consent. SASSA stresses that it does not work with any companies to enroll beneficiaries into financial products and says any deductions must be lawful and transparent. Beneficiaries are now being urged to report any suspicious or unexplained deductions and to exercise caution. SASSA Gauteng spokesperson Lungelo Mkamba.
We also urge members of the public to be cautious when signing documents and to note that SASSA does not conduct door-to-door service delivery.
And International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says while Iran has the right to protect itself, the country is also in breach of international law in the ongoing conflict with the US and Israel. Lamola says Iran's retaliation of targeting American and other assets in Gulf states like the UAE and Qatar was in violation of international laws, but Lamola has also condemned the attacks on a school in Iran by the US and Israel on the very first days of that conflict. Babalondenze reports.
In a written parliamentary question, the MK party asked Minister Ronald Lamola about South Africa's position on the unilateral military escalation in the Middle East and targeted killings that threaten international stability. Lamola says there have been resolutions at the United Nations Security Council and at the Human Rights Council which condemned only Iran for attacks on Gulf states while absolving Israel and the US for its crimes, including the crime of aggression and war crimes. Lamola took a more balanced view on the conflict, saying they recognize that Iran has a right to self-protection under Article 51, but he says their response by targeting the Gulf states from which the attacks did not emanate from is also in breach of international law. Babalo Ndanza, Eyewitness News.
A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 14 and 15 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
In the traffic, look out for 40 traffic lights in Sandton at M1 and North. Look out for 40 traffic lights in Sandton at the M1 North and Grayston, in Edenvale at the N3 and Modderfontein, as well as in Laurie and Modderfontein.
The top story in EWN this hour, a Lavender Hill mother who killed her drug-addicted son says she is running for mayor of Cape Town because people have lost their way.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Someone suggesting that they don't think Julius Malema is a dangerous man when it comes to guns. He just used that gun under peer pressure.
I have a couple of thoughts about this whole Malema thing. Tomorrow we have a criminal, then we have a gangster, then we have a homeless person. Are we going to have 4 different rulings because of who and what they are? No. The rule of law is the rule of law.
Look, I'm not a lawyer. Was the deputy mayor of Bithau, who also fired a firearm at a traditional celebration last year. So there's no case law there yet.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
What's up? Why is there a horse in your driveway?
You right, Savvy. Why drive a Mustang when you can ride one?
What the missus say?
Well, she had a bit of a long face, but now she's stable.
If you need a backup plan, We Buy Cars can sort you out.
Nah, Savvy, this thing is eco-chic.
Stop horsing around, cowboy. Rather get one of these from We Buy Cars.
What's the horsepower on that thing?
More than one, Dorf. More than one.
Don't be Dorf, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for adventure, geared for you.
That's Thabo, before he got naked. When Thabo's car broke down, he did what every manly man does best. Hit things, fiddle, and hope it works. So Thabo got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance in seconds and can now call roadside assistance anytime on the Naked app. Tools down, Thabo. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Ndate John, wait. The walking and stopping in front of people. If you don't get it, think of you, go spa. You're busy doing your own thing, wanting to buy, and then someone is walking in front of you. They are maybe in a Lania, let's say they want to buy Colgate, and they remember, I forgot to get, and then they stop right there to check their list on the phone. Oh my goodness me, and you're right behind them. Imagine Gadi 25 when everyone is paid and everyone is busy doing quick shopping because we didn't have this at home and people just stop. It's like, just move away.
Good afternoon, John. Great interview and great show as always. On the case of Mr. Malaba, he is a auditor from KPMG. I understand that he's got a fine, which may or may not be upheld because he was not present. But there's been so many failures of auditors that have come from KPMG. At what point do they take some responsibility and incur some of these costs from their applied audits?
Thank you for that feedback. Please do keep your responses to the various stories that we cover coming on 072 702 1702. Time for sport.
EWN Sport.
So, Tolakelo, the match between Banyana and Algeria very much already underway. What are we looking at the moment in terms of score?
Well, John, we're 80 minutes into that clash at the Kings Wellington Stadium, and South Africa currently lead Algeria 1-0. Nthabiseng Machia has given South Africa the lead with her second goal in 2 games against the North Africans. It's also a milestone fixture for defender Karabo Dlamini, who's making her 50th appearance for the national team. Switching over to the CAF Champions League, where Mamelodi Sundowns will look to advance to the final for a second year in a row. They take on Esperance tomorrow at a sold-out Loftus Stadium and enjoy a 1-0 lead in that tie. Despite their advantage, Zugom Dunyaula says the job's not yet done.
We're expecting them to come out all guns blazing because it's do or die for them and for us. But considering the fact that we will be playing a home game, we will take advantage of that. It's an advantage for us because we are an attacking team. So if they're going to come at us, they will definitely leave spaces for us. And we love to play when a game is more open. It would mean a lot for us, but most importantly, it would mean a lot for the club and for our supporters. And that's what we're looking forward to giving them.
Liam Rossignol has confirmed that Enzo Fernandez will return from his 2-game internal ban when Chelsea take on Manchester United tomorrow. The Premier League showdown is a must-win for the Blues, who are looking to secure UEFA Champions League qualification for next season. They've lost their past 3 league matches, and it's more than 6 weeks since they scored a goal in the top flight.
Obviously, we're not in a good place in terms of the results. It's a brilliant challenge in terms of myself, in terms of my energy, what I give the team, and what more about what we do together. We've had a lot of really strong conversations as a group. We've had some very, very good training sessions. And I think in this moment, you find out about yourself, you find out about your group, and you actually just have to stay focused on the process, which is the day in, day out.
The Proteas women will want to find form, rhythm and confidence when they take on India in the first of 5 T20s this evening. The games are part of South Africa's preparations for the World Cup in June, and Captain Lotta Waldvat has discussed areas they're looking to improve on.
With the ball, a lot of it I would say is a bit of execution. I think the plans there, but then sort of every over we just had one bad ball that wasn't to the field or that wasn't in line with what we were trying to do. So I think with the ball the last few days it's really just been about really precise on what we're trying to do and really land the ball in the areas that we want to for longer periods of time. And with the bat, got to be a bit more proactive, rotate a bit better. A couple of different shots up our arsenal. So the last few days we've been pretty precise on different shots that we want to play and sort of drilled them pretty hard.
And the ICC is investigating Cricket Canada over allegations of match corruption, including the team's 8-wicket loss to New Zealand at the T20 World Cup, following allegations made in a documentary that was aired by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation on Thursday. The game is under suspicion as a result of the 5th over that was bowled by captain Dilpreet Bajwa. That's where he ended up conceding 15 runs, while then Canada coach Coram Cohen claimed that senior board members had put him under pressure to select certain players. Tola Gelimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Getting busier and busier out on the roads, especially on Randfontein Road. Whereabouts? Let's find out. Here is Khomotso Munya.
Thank you, John. It is in Roodepoort on Randfontein Road. Traffic is moving really slowly between Ad Hoc Street and Collett Avenue, so please exercise some patience if you are in that area. If you're making your way to Pretoria Lane, there's also queuing traffic on the N12 as you head to the R558. Making your way to Bedford View, you're looking at roughly a 20-minute delay. This is coming from the Betlu interchange, so some patience there as well, please. If you're heading out of Sandton, traffic remains slow on the N1 North. This is from Allendale Road with some pressure as well on the N1 South towards Winnie Mandela Drive. Look out for 40 traffic lights in Sandton at the M1 and Grayston Drive, in Edenvale at the N3 and Modderfontein Road, and lastly in Woodmead at Woodmead and Woodlands. Likewise, if you come across any other traffic, it's 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 80 minutes to 5. Tolakele has just stepped in, and the reason Tolakele has just stepped in is because we have choc chip cookies. Nothing that you've baked, by the way. But here's what happened. We were talking about your secret talents, the things your colleagues didn't know about, except they do, those that get your biscuits, and prompted by our conversation about chocolate chip cookies. We have some for you. They look splendid, eh?
They look divine, and I shall not be sharing with anyone.
You don't have to, because the biscuits, thank you, were sent to us by Siegel's Baked Goods. You can visit them at their premises, a bakery, but also a coffee shop in Northfield Avenue in Glen Hazel. So, yeah, Tolakele, you owe us some cookies still. You have to bake them. We'll wait for them. Thank you very much for that very, very pleasant surprise to all the team at Siegel's Baked Goods. It's 17 minutes to 5.
The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. This conversation is just the beginning.
Small business owners speak a language of their own, and it's a language MTN Business and 702 understand very well. That's why we're celebrating SMEs who walk that entrepreneurial talk in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. We're in search of small businesses that prove big things can grow from bold ideas. We asked you to nominate your business or one you know on primemediaplus.com. Now it's time to meet another of our finalists to find out about their journey so far and discover what it took to make them stand out in the 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. Ever feel like running your business means doing everything except the thing you're actually good at? Like your clients love you, but when it comes to writing reports, emails, or even just organizing meetings, suddenly you are in stress country. But with MTN Business AI solutions, you can easily research, write, edit, and manage your work so you can sound professional, stay organized, and save time. Let's talk shop. Click on mtn.co.za/business or visit an MTN store today. MTN Business, Africa's leading enabler of connectivity and converged solutions. So, a very interesting business that we're about to talk about. Joining me in the studio is Portia Mokoena, who is the founder of something called Swimmer Liposha. And Portia, welcome. It's great to have you with us on the show. You've started a business where people can bring their kids so they can learn to swim. And I understand you had a very personal reason for being motivated to create the business that you have. Good afternoon to you, and tell us that story, if you will.
Good afternoon, John. So I experienced 2 near-drowning incidents as growing up. And coming from a township in Vosloorus and schooling all the way in Boksburg, when I did started eventually going into swimming lessons, my parents faced barriers on how to get me through to the lessons, and I relatively could not compete or become the ultimate athlete that I wanted to. So because of these barriers and because of later doing the research on the numbers of drowning that happen nationally, this really kept me awake at night, and this is where I saw I could, solve this problem.
So I would have thought there are many elements to Swimmer Liposha. The one would be a facility, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But secondly, you need instructors. Presumably you can't do this all on your own. Where did you find your team, and what did you have to do to get them ready?
Oh, absolutely. The team that I met up with were usually just lifeguards that were working at the pool, and some of youth that I got to know that I taught as well on how to swim. And then obviously they were interested in careers with in aquatics, and then I was able to let them know as to what they can pursue. Some of them are even scuba divers at the moment, and some of them I'm still working with them within the school as well.
The facility, the premises, what was involved in getting access and getting it ready?
So the facilities is that we run it from our backyard. We did try and run a few sessions using the public facilities, but as you know, those are only accessible seasonally. So we had to get funds, improve our infrastructure, and basically just use what we have in order to access or have the offering for our nearest communities, especially underserved communities around Boksburg. So we relied a lot on scholar transports to be able to fetch people to bring them through to our grounds.
So when kids come along, is it generally true that their parents don't know how to swim? In other words, there's nothing happening in the family environment, or they're bringing their parents, guardians, elder brothers and sisters and saying, okay, teach me to swim, but also sort my uncle out.
Absolutely, because of the target audience that we work with and we target, most 90% of the time the parents do not know how to swim. We're not exposed to water safety education as well. So if their kid is under stressed, they wouldn't know what to do.
I asked that question because I'm thinking, in addition to the instructors that you've trained, if you can get, and I use the word intentionally, an outward ripple where more and more adults actually learn to swim. I get that the focus quite correctly is on kids. But if they bring along a couple of adults who maybe are the kind of parent in charge of not just their own kid, but other children at a facility where swimming is going on, I know they're not trained lifeguards, but you've got some skilled and capable people.
John. Our biggest market is kids, but we don't necessarily just only target kids.
Yeah.
We do assist adults with learn to swim lessons as well. I mean, we've got a senior citizen group out in Rega Park that we teach lessons on a Friday, and then any other day we do like aquatic exercises and fitnesses just to get them busy and comfortable in the water as well. So it is a ripple effect that we're trying to get, especially with other community groups as well, like churches, where we target the church leader and we teach them water safety skills so that by the time they went to go do their baptism or cleansing out in the rivers, they are aware of the water safety skills that they need to partake in.
Do you have any sense of how many people pass through your hands and your facility in a year? I mean, have you crunched some numbers?
Oh, yes. The impact that we made alone last year was 4,000 plus adults and children, targeting inland, underserved communities at large.
And in terms of this as a business, what have been the biggest obstacles? And if you have at any time had some wind at your back, where does that wind come from?
The biggest obstacle, because the business is purpose-driven as well as profit-driven, the biggest obstacle was making the profits in order to subsidize the free swimming lessons, because we're trying to eliminate the stereotype that swimming is a luxury. It is a water skill, survival skill that everybody needs. So we're trying to pivot and launch so many products so that we're able to use some of the profits to be able to eventually give free water safety lessons and be able to utilize other schools that are in existence within other provinces and not just necessarily stick to the presence of just being in Boksburg or any other area in Gauteng.
You mentioned at the beginning, Portia, kids coming on scholar transport. Is there a conversation with GDE? Are they partnering you? And if there's room for that to grow, what are your thoughts?
Yes, we did have a program running with the city of Ekurhuleni for 9 months, but because of finances from the economic development, that had to come to an end. So we are trying to knock on other doors in order to continue that, because they gave us access through GDE schools, 3 primary schools in Rega Park, a couple of primary schools in Vosloorus, and some in Germiston as well. So we're trying to bring that back because of the stats and the impact that we reach through that program, but hopefully doors will open soon.
Let's go back to the pool, and let me ask you this just as a last thought. When kids say, I'm scared, what do you do? Because my own memories of swimming lessons, and we're going all the way back to the late 60s, early 70s, are not great. I would imagine techniques and kindness have probably evolved in that time.
Definitely kindness, definitely always having a happy, smiling face.
Yes.
So you have to try ease them slowly
Yes.
into the water environment, make them aware that it is safe and what they can be able to do in order to keep safe. So safety is of utmost importance on the introduction phase. And then from there, you'll see them soaring and being so confident within that water body.
I have to ask you one more. When do you find time to swim? Clearly, you're a water baby yourself.
Absolutely. After my drowning experiences, I just never stopped going back.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare for my parents, but I just kept on going.
Okay, so you find time to swim and just tune out and do lengths.
Yes, I still train.
Okay.
I recently, 2 years ago, did a swim from Robben Island to Cape Town as the first black woman to be able to complete that swim.
Okay, so you've put in the yards, you've put in the kilometers and the hours.
Yes.
Congratulations. It sounds like a fantastic business. We wish you luck. We're going to have our awards evening next Thursday. You'll be with us and we'll see what happens. But you've already achieved enormous things. Well done on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the platform.
Portia Mokwena, Swima Liposha, is operating in Boksburg. Check out their website, and they've got ambitions of spreading to other parts of the country and other parts of the province. And that concludes the 702 MTN Small Business Awards for 2026. Stay tuned next week to find out who our winner will be. 7 minutes now to 5.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's that time on a Friday, as we do every Friday, when we spend some time with Randall Abrams and we do what we call Randall's One Song. Randall, a very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us on the show today. We're going to be listening to DJ Zinhle in collaboration. Set up the song for us and tell us why we're hearing it today. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, John. Well, we've been looking to the past quite a bit. And I thought that we should listen to something that's a bit more recent. And I think the other thing about DJ Zinhle is she's actually been around for quite some time. She's obviously won multiple awards, including SAMAs. But she kicked off her career in 2004, initially wanting to be a TV presenter, and then influenced by her brother to get behind the ones and twos and become a DJ. And what is so fascinating, I think, when we initially saw the rise of the turntablist, I would call them, in the 1970s and 1980s, they were obviously not creating new music. They were taking already recorded music and utilizing the technology of the turntable, and followed by that the CD player, in order to create from there. Now you see artists like DJ Zinhle, of course, while she's worked with Boom Shaka, she's also gone on now to produce her own music. So she's able to, as I say, get on the ones and twos, spin tracks that are already recorded, but at the same time be in a position to create songs like this one, which is Sorry.
Okay, so let's take a listen and then talk some more to Randall. DJ Zinhle with Skills. Sorry, you won't be sorry. DJ Zinhle with Skills. It's called, sorry. Randall, it's a creative process I know very little about. I mean, is it very different to perhaps somebody who's a well-known jazz soloist who brings in session musicians? Or is there something different happening? Because we've got so many people making highly acclaimed music in this way. But as I say, I know very little about it.
A fascinating question, John. I think that technology has also, played such an important role. If you had, sorry,
I don't know what's happening in the background. We'll clear it, but yeah, please soldier on. You were saying technology?
Yes, so I imagine jazz musicians would all be, in a room together, kind of, creating, as it were.
Right.
At the same time live. In this case, obviously, what you've got is you've got the ability with technology for different people to kind of send different pieces to one another. So someone might, come up with a bass line, someone might come up with a drum pattern, someone might come up with a melody, and then they would quite easily, obviously, digitally be able to share that.
Yes.
And they might never ever meet one another even, right?
Right.
They might simply be texting one another or having a call here and there, and then deciding kind of is the direction the right one that they're going in. And I think that it has led to a dramatic democratization of what can be done. And as I say, being able to reach out to different players and saying, I'd like this person to feature on the track, for example, and quite easily from a technology point of view, being able to do that.
So one of the things that strikes me as you describe that, Randall, is that whoever's vision it is, and it may be more than one, you need to have a very clear-eyed view, but also real discipline about where you want to go with this, because it's not as if there's a conversation going on that keeps you on the road. You've got to know the road and make sure you stay on it.
Yes, I think that is ultimately really important. Someone's got to hold the creative vision, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to go off into rather distant and untoward places that you might not really want to. But again, that's the wonderful thing about music, and obviously we're discussing technology now. But if you take an album like, a very famous jazz album, Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
Right.
Miles obviously gave the direction, right? He gave the sense of what it should feel like. He gave the tempos. He gave some of the chords, and then, everybody kind of went from there. And I think it's quite similar from a technological point of view in that someone will give, a basic direction. If they're giving out the drum pattern first, they're kind of saying to you, it's a rhythm track. That's what we're focusing on, and that's where we're going to go. And then everybody kind of works around that. Whereas, if it's more melodic, someone's going to say, well, we've got to stick with that melody. The singer's got to be front and center, and we'll take it from there.
Very interesting stuff indeed. Thank you, Randall Abrams. Randall's One Song. We do it every Friday at around 10 to 5. Right now, it is 5 o'clock, time for news.
This is EWN.
Ruby Ridge triple murder suspect turns the gun on himself, and the court hears that the Mugabe shooting victim was compensated. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The man suspected of shooting and killing 3 people in Ruby Ridge near Tembisa has died after allegedly turning the gun on himself as police closed in today. Police say the suspect had argued with his girlfriend before shooting her, then killing 2 more people at a home in Ganana section. Officers responding to the scene came under fire today when 1 officer was injured by shattered glass. 2 other women were also wounded in the dramatic scenes. Gauteng Police spokesperson Dimakatso Nebuholwe says the suspect initially fled the scene, later abandoning and burning his vehicle before hijacking another.
He then hijacked an Avanza vehicle, of which the driver activated tracker. The car was tracked to N14 near Acacia, and when the K9 and tracker members tried to stop him, he reportedly shot himself. A hijacking case has also been opened.
The Alexandra Magistrates Court has heard that the victim of a shooting incident involving Bellarmine Mugabe and Tobias Matonodze was compensated. Sipho Malaba was shot in February at a residence in Hyde Park. The two accused have pleaded guilty to varying charges after weeks of plea negotiations. In a move to mitigate the sentences, defense lawyer advocate Lawrence Hodis told the court that the victim was paid with the knowledge of the investigating officer.
There was an approach to the victim who was compensated as deposed to a statement to that effect that my learned friend is aware of. There's no issue there that he would be satisfied with a non-custodial sentence. Reparations were made. Should this court order further reparations, both of the accused would be in a position to honour such an order. There's no problem, Your Worship.
But the state could not deny nor confirm this claim. Magistrate Rainer Boschop therefore postponed the matter to next week for this, as well as the whereabouts of the gun used in the incident, to be determined. KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says his new role in leading a national crime-fighting initiative will strengthen the work of the Political Killings Task Team, which, ironically, is a central theme in inquiries currently set up to investigate police corruption and criminal infiltration in the justice system. Mkhwanazi says the added responsibility will not take him away from his duties as Provincial Police Chief. Nkosikona Malingamnisi reports.
The National Task Team on Organised Crime will for now operate for a year with a budget of R1 billion and will work across the country. Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says the team will target crimes including drug syndicates and corruption linked to the tender system. Mkhwanazi will also be enabled to select team members from across the country, with all recruits undergoing vetting. He says the team will work closely with the National Prosecuting Authority to ensure prosecution-driven investigations as well as identifying rogue police officers. Mkhwanazi has reassured residents in KwaZulu-Natal that despite his new role, policing in the province will remain focused on tackling crime, a commitment that has been welcomed by the provincial government. Nkosikona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
SARS Commissioner Edward Kieswetter says government has failed to get a grip on the illicit economy because its law enforcement agencies have not been working as a collective. He says this kind of corruption is also deeply systemic and the transactional approach to tackling it is not working. Kieswetter made the remarks on the sidelines of his graduation at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology today, where he received an honorary doctorate in business and management sciences. Lindsay Dentling was there.
Edward Kieswetter will soon be hanging up his robe as the country's chief tax collector, but he says the work of strengthening South African institutions so that all can benefit is far from done. This includes clamping down on the illicit economy.
Why have we failed in addressing it? We failed because we have largely followed a transactional approach.
New research from the University of Cape Town has revealed that as much as 60% of the cigarettes sold during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021 were illegal. Kieswetter says bolstering the resources of law enforcement agencies alone will not be enough to break the cycle of organised syndicates if the method of work is not changed.
All of us have to work in a collaborative way to address the same phenomena.
But Kieswetter says following discussions with the President, the Ministers of Finance, Police and Defence, there's a commitment to change the approach to tackling the problem. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And US President Donald Trump has welcomed Iran's move to open the Strait of Hormuz for the remainder of the ceasefire. But taking to his Truth social media platform, Trump says the naval blockade will stay in place until its negotiations with Iran are 100% complete. While negotiations between the two countries broke down last weekend, the countries are expected to resume talks ahead of the ceasefire, which expires on the 22nd. The strait is a critical shipping route through which roughly 20% of the world's oil and natural liquefied gas is transported. Gold is trading at $4,865.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.23 to the dollar, 22.01 to the pound, 19.17 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $97.51 a barrel.
In the traffic in Protea Glen, there's queuing traffic on the N12. This is as you head towards the R558. And if you're heading into Midrand, expect heavy delays on the N1 North due to an accident on New Road.
In your sport, Mamelodi Sundowns within reach of CAF Champions League redemption as they take on ES Tennis in their second leg semi-final. Abdeslam Madou says Orlando Pirates still have a small chance to dream in the Betway Premiership title race. And Kayla Reinecker looks to cement her spot in the Proteas women team as they take on India in a T20 series.
A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 14 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 15 and 21 and Vereniging 15 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The man suspected of shooting and killing 3 people in Ruby Ridge near Tembisa has died after allegedly turning the gun on himself.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive at 8 minutes past 5 when I looked out of the window. Last gloomy and grey and a wet and windy weekend in Prospect. But hey, it is still the weekend. Hope you didn't have plans that involved you being outside and sitting in the sun with friends. But whatever you've got planned, I hope it turns out well. Anything special you want to tell us? I always say this on a Friday. If there's something we need to congratulate you about, or something we need to wish you well for, please do get in touch. Doesn't have to be anything major or life-changing, by the way. Maybe your football team, or even at this late stage of spring, it could be your cricket team is playing a big match and you want to do as well as you possibly can in that. Speaking of sport, Tola Kele Mganga will update us on the sport. We'll also have business coming up, and speaking of that, we mentioned to you earlier, Iran fully, they say, opening the Strait of Hormuz, the United States maintaining some kind of blockade on Iran still. But the markets are really, really happy about these developments at the moment. The oil share finishing up by 2.2%, 2,635 points the gain. If you look at resources, which have been very, very troubled of late, up by 3.5%. That all-important oil price, Brent crude at the moment, down by $10.81 a barrel. That's a drop of just over 11%. The current price 86.71, and the gold price moving up nicely by 2%. So all of those numbers looking good. We'll update you on that story and any others that come to our attention. But of course, if you hear about something, see something, observe something that we don't know about, or perhaps we're getting the wrong end of the stick on, please get in touch on 072 702 1702. In a moment, we'll get the latest on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry from Thabiso Goba. We'll then get the latest on the man whose press conference last July prompted the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, and a parliamentary equivalent to that. General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi will be, he says, spearheading a national task team against organized crime. Sounds important. A couple of questions, though, that I have about that, which I'll put to Dr. Simon Howell at the University of Cape Town's Centre of Criminology. Later in the show, to wrap up Friday, as we always do, we'll be talking to this man.
Here we go. Celebrations begin. South African captain has got himself his second 100 at his home ground, and his dad is clearly delighted.
Themba Bavuma is my guest on A Song, a Book and a Dish. We'll be with him from 20 to 6. It's 11 minutes now past 5.
EWN Traffic.
And this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Damp and wet and tricky driving conditions. Kumotso Munyai is looking out for you. Let's hear what she has to say. Good afternoon.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. It is wet indeed, so I ask that you please proceed with care and caution. Slow down and make sure that you keep your headlights on. We'll start in Midrand. You can expect heavy delays on the N1 North. It is due to an accident on New Road, and it's adding about an extra 10 minutes onto the usual peak time delays. The N3 South remains quite busy with peak time traffic as well building up as you make your way towards Bedfordview, and the M1 South is also experiencing some pressure from Killarney Bends all the way to the Crown interchange where things start easing up just a little bit. If you are in Protea Glen, there's still that queuing traffic on the N12 as you head towards the R558, and in Roodepoort, Randfontein Road remains congested with traffic between Adcock Street and Collett Avenue. Look out for 40 traffic lights in Midrand at the N1 South in Olifantsfontein, in Lyndhurst at the R25 in Old Johannesburg, in the capital city in Centurion at Old Johannesburg and Parkfontein, as well as in Old Johannesburg and Central. Likewise, if you come across any other more traffic, please do send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Sitting in a traffic jam is as fun as standing in the longest queue at the department, only for the computer to be offline. Why today? But fortunately, the OUTsurance pointsmen are on the roads, easing traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With OUTsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. But it's also about what happened to your money today. What happened on the JSE, what's happening overseas. All of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways, use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Fine, let's get ourselves to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. This strikes me as a very, very important few days. Over many previous days, there's been extensive delving into the financial affairs of the Tshwane Metro Police Department. Today, suspended CFO at the Tshwane Metro, Gareth Mnisi, was the person taking questions. Right, let's get into it and find out what we've learned so far. Covering it as always for us, 702 Drive. Covering it as always is Thabiso Goba, our EWN reporter colleague. Thabiso, very good afternoon to you. I would imagine lots asked about Gareth Mnisi's relationship with Sergeant Fani Nkosi, who himself has spent substantial time at the Commission. What came out in that regard? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Yes, the relationship between Tshwane's suspended Chief Financial Officer, Gareth Mnisi, and the controversial cop, Sergeant Fani Nkosi, was obviously the main highlight of today. And we do know that the implication for Gareth Mnisi came during the testimony of Sergeant Nkosi. That's when there was implication that he may have colluded with Sergeant Nkosi to direct tenders to their preferred bidders. There was, collusion in terms of resolving some invoice disputes within the municipality to pay a security company for work that allegedly was not done. And as we've said, John, we've talked about this a number of times, that during the first day of testimony for witnesses at the Madlanga Commission, they are given a bit of leeway to go through their statements. And as no surprise, no one ever comes up here and admits to any wrongdoing. So it was the same here for Guy Nisi, where much of today was characterized by a number of denials. He's denied ever using his position, whether there was a CFO or chairman or chairperson of the bid adjudication committee. He says that he had an oversight role. He understands that he had senior roles in the municipality, but he never used these roles for undue influence on any tender processes. And obviously, as a senior person, he obviously had oversight of how these processes were conducted. In terms of his relationship with Sergeant Fanny Nkosi, John, he said that he is friends with Sergeant Fanny Nkosi. They have a social relationship, and that their social relationship did not proceed or traverse into a professional relationship, and they've only kept it social. But on that, John, he did make an admission towards the end of his statement, saying that he did send an internal document to Sergeant Fanny Nkosi. We know that prior to being suspended at the Tshwane municipality, the allegation or the charge sheets that the municipality put to him is that he shared internal documents with outside people. So Mnisi basically admitted that there was a document that he shared with Sergeant Fanny Nkosi, and the reason he gave, John, is that he wanted this document to reach the Tshwane Metro Police Deputy Chief, Umashi Dlamini, and he didn't have Umashi Dlamini's contact details, but he knew that Sergeant Nkosi had Umashi Dlamini's contact details, so then he sent this document to Sergeant Nkosi, and then Sergeant Nkosi would then forward it to Umashi Dlamini. Now, you remember, John, that this was the same pretty much weak excuse that Umashi Dlamini also put forward in terms of why he was communicating with Sergeant Nkosi, why he was sending documents to Sergeant Nkosi. Those documents, Sergeant Nkosi then forwarded it to Guy Nisi. So there was this three-way communication, John, where Sergeant Nkosi was at the center of this two-way communication. Nisi would send documents to Nkosi. Nkosi then passes them on to the TMPD Deputy Chief, Umashi Dlamini. Dlamini, then it goes on and on like that. And as you said, John, you know, it is a pretty much weak excuse because Sergeant Nkosi doesn't work for the Tshwane municipality.
No. And a whole CFO would have access to phone numbers. And if, by the way, he wanted to get his number and knew Sergeant Nkosi had the number, why didn't he just ring him up since they're friends and say, "Hi, do you have Dlamini's number? I need it." I mean, it's bordering on the absurd.
There's 10,000 things he could have done. He could have walked across. He could have walked across the office and went to the HR lady and asked for Umashi Dlamini's number. So I thought that was interesting, John, in terms of him admitting that he did send an internal document to Sergeant Nkosi, and this was something that was part of his charge sheet at the Tshwane municipality for sharing internal confidential documents with outside actors. And this is something that he has admitted to. And you do imagine, John, that when we do come back on Monday, there is going to be some cross-examination on the same questions that we are asking, very obvious questions in terms of why do you need to send a confidential document to someone outside when you can just pick up the phone and get Umashi Dlamini's number from anyone in the Tshwane municipality.
Thanks so much, Thabiso Gorba. I mean, I'm chuckling at the absurdity, but I do not in any way, shape or form wish to suggest that I regard this as anything other than gravely serious. I mean, if that's the quality of explanation for taking steps that are questionable at best and probably far worse, it really is a pitiful state. And as Thabiso said, this has happened more than once, where people go to Sergeant Fanny Nkosi, who appears to play the role of, what, Google? In the old days, you would have said yellow pages, directory inquiries, to get the numbers and contact details of people who work in the same building as you. If not the same building, certainly the same organization. 21 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, let's stay with the Madlanga Commission and turn to the man whose press conference last July actually prompted the setting up of this particular inquiry and an equivalent down at Parliament. Quite a few stories coming out today saying that Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who will continue in his role as KZN Commissioner of Police, will also be playing the role of spearheading a national task team against organised crime. It's an interesting development. It's an interesting development that is not without, for me at least, a couple of wrinkles, but let's bring in a guest who can share some thoughts on that and some insights as well. Dr. Simon Howell, criminologist at the University of Cape Town's Centre of Criminology. Dr. Howell, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Before we talk about this potential role, let me just start off with what I'm a little puzzled by. I would have thought that a police appointment would be announced by the police. And I haven't heard anything, and it's quite possible I've missed it, but I've done a fair amount of trawling online to see if I have. Why wouldn't this be announced if it's an appointment by the National Commissioner, by Commissioner Masemola?
Well, that's a good question. Good afternoon. I think there isn't that much clarity, as far as I can understand, about what exactly this thing is that he's spearheading. Some have called it a initiative. Some have called it a task team. I'm still not exactly sure, and as such, I'm not sure where it fits into the broader scheme of things. I mean, it's a national objective, and that's clear. But what form it will take, or who will be delegated to it, or how it will work, I mean, that remains a little bit unclear. So I sense that they may just be maybe a very new initiative, and they simply trying to claim some PR here by mentioning Mkhwanazi, because he is the darling of the police at the moment, and it's good PR to promote him. But equally, I think from an operational perspective, it's going to be very difficult to be both the KZN commissioner and the leader of this initiative / task team / thing that is going to be.
Let's step back from that and ask you this. I mean, it seems to be a little bit of a national reflex that when we have a particularly intractable problem, we create new structures. The words task team suggests that it's not just a review structure, but they would have some powers to do some digging, maybe even make some arrests, and so on. Do we need a new structure, though, to deal with organised crime? And if we are to get one, whether we need it or not, what for you would be the key benchmarks of whether it's a success or not?
Well, in order to be a success, it needs to be in a very particular position within the SAPS hierarchy, and that is above the divisions but below the commissioner. So essentially have some form of collective or oversight powers. So for instance, over crime intelligence, over the detective services, over forensics, and perhaps even a little bit of public order policing, and be able to direct those internal organizations or structures so as that they can meet the mandate of the specific goals that are set by this initiative. If it's not above those, then I suspect that it would come into conflict with those structures. But if it's below them, then I don't really know what it's going to be doing. So I think if it's positioned in the right place, it may have it may be play a unifying force, or have a unifying effect in the sense that it might be able to lead people and lead divisions so as that they focus on a specific issue, which is organized crime, which requires that type of focus. If not, though, it could be quite messy.
I want to sort of get your sense of whether whoever felt something needed to be done should have waited for the Madlanga Commission process to run its course.
Well, you'd think so, considering that leadership structures are, leadership positions are not exactly cemented in stone at the moment. You would think that they would have waited, but equally, I think there is also a significant amount of pressure on the police to be look like they were doing something,
right?
Especially around organized crime, and there is with Mkhwanazi, you get good leadership or strong leadership. There's a difference between strong and good, of course, and you get good PR. So I sense, this was in effect just a means of trying to drive some PR and show that they're doing something, and ultimately put in place a very strong leader to see what can be done. Whether that translates into action, though, may be a different story.
I certainly understand what you're saying in regard that you can't pause policing initiatives while inquiries are going on. I do wonder, though, that given that in a lot of the conversations, both down in Cape Town and in Tshwane at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College, have had a very strong theme of factionalism as an issue, hamstringing police operations. I'm just wondering about whether you need to somehow settle that. But I suppose the counter argument is, you may never.
Well, I mean, Makunazi is never going to be a unifying force, if that makes sense. I mean, he is ultimately the representative of a faction, if you could call it that. So, I don't think it's unity here that is aimed at. If it is anything, it's strong leadership. Because, I mean, one of the big things that have come out of the commission, which has been clear from a number of years, is that leadership has been in doubt, and leadership has not had a particular concern with actual policing and more concerned with doing dodgy deals. So, if anything, Makunazi represents the good and the clean. And the strong. So I think for that reason, in terms of organized crime, that's the type of leadership you want. It is, for me at least, I do sense there may be problems because the KZN commissioner's leadership has resulted in quite a lot of violence. And I mean, I'm not undermining his leadership abilities, but I sense the way in which he commands is very direct and very structured and very quick, which may be good, but equally, from a human rights perspective, may not be that good. So we'll see.
Yeah, it will certainly be a popular choice from what our listeners regularly tell us. But thank you, Dr. Simon Hull, joining us from the University of Cape Town Centre for Criminology. I did suggest that there were other ways in which the suspended CFO at the Tshwane Metro might get the phone number of Umashi Dlamini as a way of getting his contact details so you can send him documents. I Googled and I can assist with this number, 012-358-7095. If you struggle to get through on that number, 012-358-7096. They should be able to help you. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Sure. Some close, eh? Muteo Khwaripe, Strait of Hormuz, now open in the markets. Not only go shoo, but go yeah. And the numbers shot up. What have you got?
A very big reprieve on the market, John. Oil prices are easing after Iran signaled that the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important oil routes, is now open to commercial traffic during the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. The oil price has already slipped below the $90 barrel mark, reversing gains that we saw in previous sessions. Looking at the markets, the U.S. markets opened higher. S&P 500 up more than 1% on that news. The Dow Jones up more than 2%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq up 1.5% this afternoon. A better day for the JSE, a good ending to the week. The all share up $2,531 an ounce, up more than 2% this afternoon. Industrials was stronger. Banking stocks also up more than 1.7%, with mining shares up 3.8%. A good day for Implats. They were up 9%. Northern up more than 8%, with Harmony up more than 6%. Retailers, Mr. Price getting in on the action, up 4.8%, with Pick and Pay enjoying gains this afternoon. The Rand also good against the dollar, 16 Rand 20 cents against the US dollar. It's up 1%, 19 Rand 14 cents against the euro, and at 21 Rand 96 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,871 an ounce. It's up close to 2%. Platinum at $2,141. Brent crude now at $87 a barrel. It's down 9%. Tonight on The Money Show, we do talk oil. Yesterday, of course, promising you the Minister Enoch Godongwana at the Springs meetings. We caught up with him earlier on, and he has a little something to say about the reprieve at the pump for South Africans, so do stay tuned for that. Then in our Money Show Explainer, we talk about Mahindra, the latest car manufacturer looking to have more routes here in South Africa, going for a major South African plant upgrade. We'll be talking to Renai Muthilal, CEO and Executive Director of the National Association of Automotive Component and Allied Manufacturers. Then later on the show, it is Friday. We do lifestyle then. Our Friday file talking about Toys to Trust Funds, the fintech company reimagining wealth for kids. Sibongile Maputla, the founder of Squirrel Away, joins us for that conversation. All that and more after 6.
Thanks so much, Muteo Khwaripe. Great lineup on The Money Show. 6 to 8 is when you can catch him. 5:30 it is now. Latest eyewitness news. Here's some Bali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The South African Weather Service is warning of cold, wet and windy conditions across most parts of the country from today until Monday. The conditions will start in the Western Cape and Northern Cape and also spread to the central and eastern parts, including Gauteng, over the weekend. Mongezi Koko reports.
Forecasters warn that the change in weather could lead to localized flooding, slippery roads and reduced visibility. Coastal areas are also expected to experience rough seas. Meanwhile, inland, daytime temperatures are set to drop significantly with strong winds forecast. Forecaster Tukello Chilwane.
The public is advised to dress warmly, drive with caution, avoid unnecessary travel, secure loose items and stay away from the coastline during this period.
The public is being urged to remain on alert and monitor official weather warnings. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
The launch of KwaZulu-Natal Police Forensic Lab in Mayville, Durban, is expected to help reduce the province's DNA testing backlog. This is a critical step in resolving and finalizing criminal cases. The previous facility in Amanzimtoti had become prone to flooding and was only partially operational. Speaking at today's launch, KZN Premier Tamin Tuli said the facility will improve both the speed and accuracy of forensic analysis.
For the people of KwaZulu-Natal, especially the victims of crime, this is a moment of renewal. It affirms that their pain has not gone unseen, that their calls for justice have not gone unheard. For far too long, delays in forensic processing has weakened cases and eroded confidence. Today we say no more.
And the European Border Agency is reporting that poor weather across the main migration routes into the EU is amongst the key factors behind a sharp drop in irregular border crossings. According to reports, the number of crossings fell by nearly 40% in the first quarter of the year when compared to the same period last year. The Eastern Mediterranean was the busiest route, accounting for about one-third of irregular entries, while the Western Mediterranean route is the only one to have recorded an increase of 66%. A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 14 and 15 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
In the traffic, if you're leaving Sandton, there's been an accident on the N1 southbound just before Rivonia Road, and it is causing slight delays. And as you head into Midrand, expect those heavy delays on the N1 north, also due to an accident on New Road.
The top story in EWN, the South African Weather Service is warning of cold, wet and windy conditions across most parts of the country from today until Monday.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
In terms of your songwriting, what would you say, let's use the latest EP, Last Call for Departure, like what are you sharing about yourself? What is the journey you're taking listeners through?
So when I write songs, I like to try and tell my story and how I see the world from my own perspective. And I also try to just show that like everybody goes through the same things, so obviously only has their own feelings and all of that, and they have their own reactions to things, but I like to show how I feel.
Singer, songwriter and producer Matt Gardner.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Attention all shoppers.
Our supermarket shelves are full of unhealthy food. It's often hard for me to know which foods are good for my family. The information on packaged food is complicated and hard to understand. I wish we had easy-to-understand warning labels on foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat. We have the right to know what's in our food. Support front-of-package warning labels on unhealthy packaged foods. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
That's Amanda before she got naked. When the power tripped, Amanda felt more helpless than when her mom-in-law called her lasagna different. So Amanda got naked. She got car and home insurance at a lower premium and can now call an electrician anytime via the Naked app. There we go. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
We said, let's talk shop. And small business owners answered, from the townships to the suburbs and everywhere in between. Now, 702 and MTN Business want to share their stories with you. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Listen to 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and the Afternoon Drive with John Perlman all week to meet the businesses doing big things. Hear what it really takes to build something from the ground up. And if you're listening thinking, that sounds like my business, go to primemediaplus.com now to enter or nominate a small business you know, because the next business we talk about could be yours. The 702 MTN Small Business Awards. Let's talk shop. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, big day for Sundowns tomorrow.
Absolutely, John, and a chance at winning its second continental title is the incentive for the Brazilians when they host Esperance in the second leg of the CAF Champions League semi-final. They'll take a 1-0 lead into that clash at a sold-out Loftus Versfeld Stadium, and having lost last season's finals to Pyramids, Keanu Cupido and his teammates are determined to go one better this time around.
I think it's very big for any player in the country to win the Champions League, and everyone dreams of winning the Champions League and playing for a big team like Sundowns. It's a really huge opportunity for each and every one of us to actually show our qualities also. Last season we were very close. This season we have another opportunity, and we learn from last season going into this semi-final as well.
Orlando Pirates will look to keep their title hopes alive when they host AmaZulu in the Betway Premiership tomorrow. Last time out, they dropped points to Richards Bay, which saw them narrow the gap to just 1 point, but the Brazilians do have a game in hand. For Adeslam Adu, he's not giving up hope of ending Sundowns' 7-year championship reign.
We didn't want to lose against City away. We didn't want to lose against Paris Saint-Germain. But and I think that is always the aim. If you go into games, you never want slip ups, so you want to perform in the best possible way possible. Best possible way possible. It's a lot of possible.
Pep Guardiola has told his Manchester City players that if they lose to Arsenal on Sunday, the Premier League title race will be over. The Gunners go into the encounter with a 6-point lead at the top, but City have a game in hand over the leaders, and successive victories over Arsenal and Burnley over the next week would see them ascend to the top of the standings for the first time since August 16th.
Obviously, if we lose, it's over. But the other two results, knowing that Arsenal didn't win Bournemouth, we still have games to play. 6 games is a lot in our calendar, especially. It's terrible. We say in the, Everton away, Bournemouth away, Aston Villa the last game at home. Apart of course, Barley's and Crystal Palace and Brentford's at home. So Crystal Palace, look what's going on. Aston Villa and Crystal Palace in Europe. So still many things to do.
And the Proteas women take on India at the Kingsmead Stadium from 6 p.m. in the first of 5 T20s between the two nations ahead of June's World Cup. Ahead of it, Laura Waldvat had heap praise on Kayla Reiniger, who won matches for South Africa on her T20 and ODI debut against Pakistan and New Zealand respectively. The all-rounder has now been ruled out of that first match as she recovers from a bout of flu.
Kayla's very exciting. Her being an all-rounder, she bowls pretty good off-spin, which I think is something this group has been looking for a while, is a true off-spinner. Obviously, we have Sine as well, but then Kayla just adds a bit of a different dynamic, bowls a little bit differently to what she does. So I think it just helps with the balance, and then to have her coming in and to be able to smash sixes like that at will is something that you don't find every day, and is pretty rare, especially in a youngster like that.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 20 to 6, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. The very latest from the roads on a rainy Friday. Good afternoon.
Thank you, John. If you are leaving Sandton, there is an accident on the N1 South just before Main Road, and it's causing heavy delays in that area. If you're in a rush, and maybe depending on where you are going, perhaps try to use Rivonia Road or Grayston Drive as an alternative. If you are going towards Midrand, expect heavy delays on the N1 North. This is due to that earlier accident on New Road and those peak time delays as well. The M3 South also remains quite busy with those peak time delays on your way towards Bedford View, and the M1 South is also experiencing some pressure from Killarney Bends all the way to the Crown Interchange. In the opposite direction, there is, however, a 20-minute delay on the M1 North. This is from Grayston Drive to the Betlu interchange, so please allow some extra time as you travel in that stretch. If you come across any other traffic, please do send that voice note to 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 48. Did I upload the updated version of the presentation? Oh, the anxiety. Well, with the Outsurance pointsmen on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Coming up in a moment, we talk food shared with family and friends. We talk about special books and inspirational music. All of that on our weekly feature, Song, a Book and a Dish, in the company of Proteas captain Themba Bavuma. Stay with us for that.
702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja.
702 Afternoons is about all things in life, from music to inspiration. We get an opportunity to explore science, mental health, food. I almost feel like there's nothing we don't do on my show. One of the things I absolutely love about 702 Land and the 702 family is that we are so sharing. We share tears, laughs, smiles. We share in the amazing times and celebrate together as well. We have a range of topics, but when it comes to what we do cover on the show, absolutely everything. My listener is somebody who wants to grow, evolve, develop. They're empathetic, they are loving, they are so special that even when they don't have, they come through and share, and more importantly, they know how to walk the talk.
702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja. Weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m.
In the world of finance, manufacturing, and mining, automating business processes is a crucial factor in stimulating an organization's growth and bottom line. Zoe Projects and Consulting, a specialized process engineering and automation firm, offers comprehensive data and business systems analysis to optimize your company's processes, to save time, reduce costs, and better efficiency. Go to zoeprojects.co.za and get in touch with Zoe Projects and Consulting today.
New from the House of Citroën.
Ah, so stylish.
470-litre boot space. I need it.
Keyless entry, so chic.
Cruise control. Oh, bonjour.
4-year or 60,000 kilometers service plan? Oui.
The stylish, all-new Citroën Basalt is here. You want a piece of it. Starting from 354,900 Rand. Register now for limited deal assist of up to 40,000 Rand. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
If you run a small business, you'll know growth doesn't happen by chance. It takes the right support. That's where MTN Business comes in.
I think there's quite a lot. It's quite an extensive laundry list. I think time is key. I mean, when you're a small business, you're multitasking, you're doing a lot of the work yourself. So that's one of the key areas. The second is admin.
Yes.
And then finally, it's working inside existing tools. So it's important to remember that it fits into tools that small businesses are typically using as they go about their day-to-day operation.
To find out more ways MTN Business can support your growth, join the next conversation. Wednesday on the Afternoon Drive, MTN Business. Let's talk shop on 702.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
702 Drive, it's that time of the week where we spend time with somebody who you already know a lot about, but maybe not as much as you think you know. One thing we do is we ask our guests to choose a song that is important to them or just one they simply love. Pick out a book and we ask them why they've picked that. We ask them to talk about food and whatever it is that they choose. Invariably, the subject turns to meals shared with family and friends and the conversation that took place either around the table or with plates on their laps. My guest really doesn't need much introduction. He has been a hugely successful captain of South African cricket. His most recent achievement, a series win away against India. And last year, of course, the jewel in the crown, South Africa becoming World Test Cricket champions, led by Themba Bavuma, but also anchored by his great determination at the batting crease. We're delighted to have him with us on 702 Drive. Temba, welcome to the show and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me and good to be chatting with you again.
So, Temba, before we talk early life, before we talk cricket, I just want to highlight something that, I think a lot of our listeners may not know enough about or may not know about at all. You have created the Temba Bavuma Foundation. You obviously do cricket development, but you also invest in young people and in needy people in other ways. Coming up, in fact, in Joburg on the 27th on Freedom Day, a food drive that you're doing in partnership with the Frida Hartley Shelter, which is, some people may know, has been set up in Yeovil to help women who are in need of that kind of support. Your foundation obviously reflects something about you now, but I would imagine it also reflects your early life where there were people who did things to make your move up through the gears of life possible. Who are some of those important people in your early life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, John, if I look at where everything started for me, just humble beginnings in Langa, in Cape Town, had the opportunity of being taken out of that system and be putting in systems where I had opportunities to really fulfill my potential through the schooling that I went to, and also just the support system, the people around me. Whenever I kind of strayed and went offline,
yes,
there were people to kind of just bring me back into line and just make me gear towards what it is that I want to do with myself. So, similarly within the foundation, it's about creating a support structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the holistic development of talented individuals, boys and girls, through the avenues of sport as well as education. It's systemizing my development, getting bursaries to go to your top schools where
right.
I was able to benefit from a sporting point of view, but also from an educational point of view, and really having a shot at realizing my potential. So that's in essence what we do in the foundation. There's an educational side, a bursary program. There's the cricket development side as well, where that's more geared towards just developing young cricketers. And then we have our social initiative side, and that the one you've just spoken about now on the 27th of this month on Freedom Day, where we'll be hosting our feeding scheme at the Frida Hartley Shelter. We've been doing that for the past 5 to 6 years. So super excited to make some impact there.
Temba, let's go back to you as a young boy. You're playing cricket on the streets of Langa. You've given wonderfully vivid descriptions about the different areas where you played and how you named the different pitches depending on how bumpy the street was. But at what point, who was it who said to you, you know what, we know you love cricket, we know you're having fun, but you could actually go far and do something with us? Was it one person or was it more than one?
Look, I grew up in a family that were sport crazy, right? My uncles played the game as well. So the place that I grew up as well, they were quite big with their sports and culture. There's other notable people who've gone on to do big things for the country. So I always grew up around that. And like I said, as much as I grew up in Langa, I got the opportunity to go to a Saks, to go to a St. David's later on. I was always in an environment that allowed me to kind of dream bigger, but also there were the resources around me. The opportunity that I had, it became a quality opportunity because of everything that on a daily point of view I was exposed to.
Yes.
My uncles, they were obviously mentors of mine growing up, and coaches as well that I've had. I was fortunate from a young age. I had guys like Bob Wilmer as coaches. I had Andy Kirsten. Those are the guys who I got coaching, technical work. And you can imagine as a batsman, those aspects are quite important from a young age. So for me, family has always been big, John. Those are the people that I've leaned on in when times are tough. So that's generally where I get my strength and ambition from.
So let's stay with family. Let's go to the Bavuma dinner table. We asked you to choose a dish. You picked leg of lamb. I'm assuming there wasn't leg of lamb every day. But when you gathered as a family with you, the oldest child, your dad, Vuyo, a journalist, and I know as a journalist myself, sometimes the hours can be a bit funny. Your mom, Pumza, at the table as well. What kind of things were you all talking about? Were family meals an important time?
Yeah, they were important. I mean, like you just said, the dynamics of the family are such that, the parents, you see them in the morning and then you see them at night, Whenever I go and play cricket or any other sports, your parents are not there. And I mean, you never understand it when you're growing up, but as you're older, you understand why that's the case, And I mean, when it's that time where we're all sharing a meal, that's generally where we're all kind of touching base with each other. I've got two younger siblings, a brother and a sister. And as the older one, you generally play that mini parenting role, to make sure that, things are all good on their side. But yeah, that time for dinner is generally the opportunity where maybe my dad was more focused on the academics, to be honest.
Okay.
He wanted to make sure that, I don't slack on from that front. Cricket is nice. It's a nice passion, but let's make sure from an academic point of view, we don't slack. And I mean, there's no mistake that my siblings, both of them have gone more into the corporate side, and they've made a success of themselves in that side. My parents were academics as well, like you mentioned. My dad was in the journalist side. My mother as well. She was within the corporate space.
Yeah. So it very interesting household times. What about books? The book you've chosen is one I don't know. But before we talk about your specific book, were you a big reader when you were younger? And if so, where were you getting books?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my dad being a journalist, he obviously encouraged the desire to seek knowledge, to read books. I've got earlier memories of, if maybe I play a game of cricket, when I come back, he'd ask me to write a summary of the game, and that was a way of kind of getting that whole writing ability. Maybe reading the Sunday Times, choosing an article and writing a summary of that. So that was always there, the reading bit. Now that I'm older, I don't read as much as I should read. But there's a book that I've started reading now. It's called The Swordless Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
It was a book that was recommended. It's a leadership book, almost in the same space as the Art of War.
Right.
And this one, I mean, I haven't gotten deep into it. But it speaks about a leader who during those times, I think it was in the Chinese or the Japanese, where a lot of leaders came about through them displaying their prowessness as warriors. But this individual was one that was diminutive, small in stature.
Yes.
But he found a way to be effective as a leader by being a lot more strategic and astute. So I'm still trying to get into the book. But yeah, that's the book that I have at this point.
Yeah, interesting that you talk about it and leadership styles and different ways, and that your quiet leadership style has been much admired and was spoken about a great deal, particularly in the period after that that Test World Championship success. Themba, music. We're gonna get into your song in a moment, but more generally, I've spoken to you before, and I've also spoken to Kagiso Rabada, and you guys have often been sort of on tour, and in times when you're spending a lot of time together, maybe in training camps, in being involved in making music. Is that still going on?
Yeah, we enjoy our music.
Yeah.
I used to carry a DJ set when we were on tour, and we'd mess around within our rooms. So I mean, that we still do. We like the same type of music. He likes a little bit more of jazz. I'm not really into all of that. But I think from a favorite point of view, if I could choose one, John, it would probably be house music.
Yes.
Our local South African house music. Black Coffee, he's a guy that I aspire to as someone who's been able to master his craft. And I'm sure you can understand how that kind of resonates with me being an athlete and what we try to do.
Yes.
So kind of any song by him. I think the song that I chose is We Dance Again. I think everyone out there will know that song by Black Coffee. But yeah, I really enjoy my music. It's a space of escapism for me. But you kind of just get to express yourself in a different way other than being on the cricket field.
How's your dancing?
My dancing is okay. It gets a bit better with a couple of drinks, but my dancing is okay.
And just finally, Temba, we've got Black Coffee, We Dance Again in the background, and we'll give it a full blast in a moment. But just briefly, I mean, before you bat or before a big game, maybe on the bus to Lords or anywhere else, do you use music to focus, to relax, or do you keep it separate from cricket?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is relaxing. I mean, some guys will even say it's therapeutic in a way.
Yes.
There's been times where I felt like I'm batting well out in the innings, and I'd maybe be humming a certain song.
Okay.
You know? So definitely. Yeah, it's definitely something for me. I probably need to understand that a bit more. But yeah, I enjoy my music.
Well, we've really enjoyed talking to you. Temba Bavuma, firstly, let me thank you for giving us your time on 702 Drive, but also I think I speak for all of our listeners. Thank you for what you and the Proteas have achieved. You've brought huge pride and joy into so many households, and lots of young people are looking at you and saying, that's our road I want to walk. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Black Coffee, vocals there by Nakane. 2015 it came out. Boy, it still sounds great. 702 Drive this week has been put together by Jonathan Fairburn and Rifue Letsua. Our technical producer is Karabo Malapile. Have yourselves a great weekend. On Monday at 3 o'clock, we dance again. Good night.
Now, The Money Show with Moteo Haripe
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grotus is brought to you by ABSA be. Discover the latest trends shaping digital assets across Africa. Download the ABSA Africa Digital Assets Insights 2025. Tonight on The Money Show, we make sense of the markets as the Strait of Hormuz opens for commercial shipping. Grant Nader joins us for that conversation, portfolio manager at Banguela Global Fund Managers. And then we tell you about a different form of gifting in our Friday file. Imagine a platform that helps you buy shares and market funds for your kids, nephews, and nieces as gifts. Asibongile Maputla, a founder of Squirrel Away, joining us for that conversation a bit later. Then in our Money Show Explainer, we talk about Mahindra eyeing a plant in South Africa looking to extend its operations here as things for them go well in the vehicle market. Then we talk to the minister out in Washington about some of the discussions had around the global oil crisis and how South Africa can buffer those prices for consumers. All that and more on The Money Show. But